wanna impeach him. I guess that's what you do when you can't beat him.
All right. Hello, America, and welcome back to Straight Talk with Isaiah Ascher, where faith meets freedom and truth has no filter. I'm Isaiah, and I'm coming to you from small town Missouri here in America. And if you believe in faith, family, and freedom, you're in the right place. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on X at Isaiah Ascher, and be sure to join our X community called The Faithful Front to be a part of the conversation all week long. Well, let's jump right into it because holy Toledo, there is a lot that's happened this past week. Today we'll be talking about President Trump's new U.S.-Australia mineral deal, a very critical deal that's making headlines worldwide. We'll be talking about the government shutdown, aka the Schumer shutdown, now in week 4, and what it really means for Americans. We'll be covering and touching on the SNAP benefits that were suspended for the month of November, which was a big slap in the face to Democrats who shut down the government. We'll be covering the Ukraine and Russia peace talks that took place at the White House earlier this week, as well as a faith-based entrepreneurship segment where we talk about how to honor God with your business. And of course, we're going to be talking about that No Kings rally, aka the Hate America rally, and free speech, and also how Trump's sending in the National Guard to clean up those streets, specifically in San Francisco. So let's jump right into it, to our first segment, the hot seat. Want to jump right on over to X here to pull up a post that I made earlier this week when Prime Minister Anthony Albanese showed up to the White House to meet President Trump. You can see here, he's arriving, President Trump greeting him. The press asking, hey, what are you guys going to be talking about today? What message do you have for the people of Australia? And they want to accomplish a lot, is what they said, and they sure accomplished a whole lot. This is a massive, massive new deal between the United States and Australia. President Trump and the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese signed this landmark agreement on October 20th, that was yesterday, to strengthen the supply chain for critical minerals and rare earth minerals. That's the stuff that powers everything from our defense systems to smartphones, electronics here that I'm using right now, electric vehicles like Teslas, Rivians, things like that. And so this $3 billion plus partnership that President Trump was able to coordinate, it's got to build new refineries in Australia. It's also going to expand America's access to materials that we've been relying on with China for way too long. And this shows a bold move from President Trump to help us get away from China. It's about freedom. It's about freedom from foreign dependencies. And it's about faith in the future of American industry. Here, we want to put America first. And of course, the liberal, mainstream, lunatic media is already spinning this as a controversial deal, which not sure how a $3 billion deal that benefits everyday Americans is going to be controversial. But let's be real here. They're just mad because it's President Trump proving again and again that through prosperity and peace, not begging globalists for permission, that's how how real deals happen. Comes from real leadership, comes from real negotiations, sometimes even real leverage that we have against these countries to make these deals happen. And again, this deal, just to reiterate, it's going to mean more jobs for Americans. It's going to mean more investment in America. And it's going to strengthen both nations, not just Australia. It will strengthen America as well, because President Trump puts America first. We all know that. While Australia gets production and infrastructure, we're going to be able to secure supply chains and have a stronger alliance with the nation of Australia regarding these mineral deals. Again, this is what real diplomacy looks like. This is a win-win situation that President Trump created, not a lose for America, win for other nations kind of deal like the last administration and the lunatic left-wing media would want us to do. I want to jump right on over here to the chaos also ensuing in Washington while we have these deals that are being done. We also have chaos through the Schumer shutdown. This government shutdown. It's entering its 4th week already. These gridlocks show no signs of ending because of the Democrats. They're demanding healthcare expansion tied to the bill that reopens the government, whereas Republicans are saying, hey, let's keep the government going so we can get the Americans their paychecks. And just what you see here with Speaker Mike Johnson saying, Democrats have now voted 12 times to shut down the government, preventing paychecks from going to our troops, our veterans, and air traffic controllers, stopping services to women, infants, and children, the WIC program, as we saw from our Missouri House Representative Ann Wagner brought that up last week. Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats can make this shutdown end immediately. If just 5, that's all it takes. 5 Democrat senators. That's all it takes. Just 5 Democrat senators can make this shutdown end immediately. Only if they used common sense and pass our clean 24-page bill to turn the lights back on. That's all these Republicans are trying to do, is get the lights turned back on for America and for Congress. This bill keeps everything going. It's the bill that everyone hears about. We hear this CR bill. What does that stand for exactly? CR stands for Continuing Resolution. It's a continuing resolution. It's a short-term funding patch that Congress uses when it can't agree on a full year's budget. This is just a patch agreement to keep the government operating and moving forward. But the left is using it as leverage to ram through spending and to give illegals health care. While they're arguing about illegal immigrants getting health care, real people here in America are suffering. Federal employees across Missouri, across the nation, are still waiting for paychecks. We have contracts that are on hold. We have contractors that can't bill to get paid for the work they've done. We have families stretched really thin, which families being stretched thin, that's a great segue into the SNAP benefits program. Now, I'm sure this is something that the left-wing lunatics did not see coming. Probably came out of nowhere for them. But SNAP, aka food assistance, it's suspended for November. You heard that right. Suspended. Millions and millions of Americans, hundreds of thousands of Missourians are about to lose help, the help they need to put food on the table. Some can't survive without it. And I know some of my base and supporters are going to say, they need to get a job. They need to do better. And I agree. A lot of the folks that are on these benefits are sucking money from taxpayers. But I know real hardworking Americans personally that work every day and just aren't making enough to make it by. And they rely on these programs to be able to put food on their table for their children. I know that they don't want to rely on these programs, but the reality is that they have to rely. And so these left-wing lunatic Democrats have shut down the government, and they've stripped these benefits from hard-working Americans. These are Democrats who claim to fight for these working families. I actually posted about this on X earlier this week. Let me pull that up here. And the post actually exploded for me. I don't, I have a small following on Twitter. On X, sorry, formerly known as Twitter. It's growing, but This post that you see here, it actually garnered, looks like 4,000 views so far. And this is the screenshot that I took from the government's website where I announced urgent federal government shutdown hits SNAP benefits hard. November SNAP benefits are suspended nationwide due to the ongoing Schumer shutdown, leaving 42 million Americans at risk of going hungry. Thankfully, these October benefits are safe, so I'm hoping that folks are stocking up. But without action, families could face delays or cuts, and it seems like that's going to happen with the stalls that continue to happen. This isn't just red tape, it's real pain for low-income households, I wrote. Congress, you need to end the shutdown now. Chuck Schumer, end this now. 5 senators, that's all it takes. If you need help, reach out to your local food bank, reach out to local churches, reach out to your city government. They typically have resources to point you in the right direction. If you're watching this and you need help, please be sure to reach out and find help. People are angry about this, rightfully so. You can't say that you're for the poor like the Democrats do when you're willing to let them starve for your political theater. Meanwhile, the White House rolled out a shutdown resources page. I'd highly recommend that you go take a look at it. It's got a few different areas there. One where it shows you the amount of money that's being lost as the shutdown continues to go on. And it also shows you the support that your state shows for this continuing resolution. So I would encourage you to go to the White House website, look into that, and see how the Democrats are costing you money every single day. They're hurting the economy and they're hurting hardworking Americans. There's no real solutions from them. They're not presenting any real solutions to these problems. So because of that, Democrats, vote on this CR. Push it through. Let's reopen the government. All right, let's shift abroad again. We saw Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky visit the White House this past week to beg for continued funding and to ask for diplomatic backing as peace talks heat up behind the scenes. He's losing major leverage. The European governments are tired of this war. America's going broke. We need to put money back into our own country, not be handing it out to others. We need to put America first. And Russia has dug in its heels. It is not going anywhere. And so we can pull up here this post from the great Benny Johnson, where we have
when we were in Israel with President Trump earlier,
Peter Ducey.
The difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Joe Biden before him. What do you see as the biggest difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Biden?
President Trump has a big chance now to finish this war. President Biden now is not the president, so he doesn't have a chance to finish this war. And President Trump is really showed for the world that he can manage ceasefire in the Middle East. And that's why I hope that he will do this, and we will also have such big success. For Ukraine, it's a big chance. And I hope that President Trump can manage it.
I would say the biggest difference is one is extremely competent and the other one is grossly incompetent.
I love the president. I love the president. You see there, President Zelensky just simply begging President Trump to finish the war. He's begging him, and he can't even. I really think that President Zelensky is placed there. I don't think he's a true politician. I think he could be an operative of some sorts, but I noticed that he can never praise President Trump, but he had no problem praising the previous administration. I love what President Trump said there. The last administration is incompetent, and now we have a competent, common sense government. You know, this visit felt like a show of strength. Didn't feel like a show of strength, sorry. It felt more like desperation on the part of President Zelensky. And that's because Trump's foreign policy, the peace through strength, it's worked. You know, he didn't start these wars. He's trying to end them. He doesn't want to continue to fund these wars. He wants to figure out a diplomatic solution to bring them to the table to get peace done. He's the president of peace, not the president of wars. And speaking of peace, if we remember last week talking about the Israel-Hamas peace deal, you remember all those free Palestine protesters? Well, completely silent now. Haven't heard a peep from them. We have no headlines. We have, we have no headlines. We have no media coverage. There's nothing. Because after Trump brokered that peace deal, that framework deal that he helped broker between Israel and the Hamas terrorists, the left didn't know what to say. There was even one comedian that I love. He was joking. He was at the Hate America rally with a megaphone saying, Trump freed Palestine. Trump freed Palestine. I loved that because he's just a comedian. He's trying to make light of the situation and point out that as these left-wing lunatics are on the streets chanting for no kings, the same president, who's not a king, by the way, doesn't claim to be a king, that same president is the one who brought peace to Palestine that they were looking for, and yet they are silent. And you know that when comedians start saying what the press isn't, something's shifting in the atmosphere, something is shifting in America. That's hypocrisy from the left in real time. We see that when Trump leads and closes these peace deals, they have nothing to say, and they only want to highlight the things that try to make themselves look good. They don't want to do anything or even point to some common sense deals or give any recognition to the president. Well, we're going to go to a break right now. We'll be right back after this message from our sponsors. Stay tuned. Things are heating up in America, and you know what else is heating up? My taste buds. Thanks to Fuegos Amigos salsa. This isn't your average jar of tomatoes and regret. Fuegos Amigos brings the real heat with bold, fire-roasted, flavor-fresh ingredients and just the right kick to make every bite unforgettable, especially the mango habanero flavor. Whether you're dipping, topping, or straight up spooning it out of the jar, no judgment, I've done it. There's a level of fuego for everyone, from mild but mighty to text your ex hot. So go ahead, turn up the heat, grab a jar, or 3, of Fuegos Amigos salsa, and taste the fire that America is talking about. Made right here in the good old U.S. of A. Available now at fuegosamigos.com. Or you can pick up a jar here locally in St. Clair, Missouri at PB&J's Antique Store. Fuegos Amigos salsa. Feel the heat, love the flavor. All right, welcome back to the Straight Talk podcast with Isaiah Ascher. I'm your host, Isaiah Ascher. Let's jump right into the next segment. Want to talk today about something bigger than politics, faith and finances, faith-based entrepreneurship. I believe that too many Christians, too many believers are afraid to talk about money, but money is not evil. Money is the root of evil. Itself is not evil. The love of money is evil. And when you recognize that, you can recognize that the seed in your hand, it actually belongs to God. And everything changes when you have that mindset. I personally, me and my wife, we used to give what the average churchgoer would give, just a little bit, not a true tithe, just enough to check the box and make us feel good that we're giving back to the church. But when we made giving a priority, God was able to multiply what we had and make it into something that's far more exceedingly abundant above what we could ever think, ask, or imagine. Now we're able to give 10 times more what we started giving when we originally started giving to the church. And we still live in overflow. We don't know how that is. It's only through the grace of God. And I actually want to jump right over because, funny enough, this past weekend at my church, our pastor talked about something with one of our members in our church that has to do with this. And so I want to jump right over and get into this clip from our sermon that you can check out.
That didn't work because God showed up and delivered us. And then he went after my health, and that didn't work thanks to Pastor David's prayers. But what took place in that 10-year period when God was on the throne of our business and I was doing just whatever he told us to do, he took our business from nothing in 10 years to a sale of $75 million. And on top of that, he brought the buyer. I was not looking for a buyer. I loved what I was doing. And that's a miracle what can happen in your life when you surrender everything to the Lord and let him do the work and just do what he says to do.
Yeah, beautiful story. Give it up for Sheldon. Come on now, every campus. Now, I want you to take out your phone if you want the book. If you want the book, get out your phone, take a picture, because if everybody at all the campuses try to do it now, it'll probably shut down our internet and it won't work, okay? So that sometimes happens. But if you take a picture of it and order it later, all you got to do is, he just wants to give the book to you. But you got to pay for the shipping, and of course, there's syllabuses. He's went all out to try to get the information that's in the book into people's hands. By the way, he did not ask me to do this. I just wanted him, and I could pick out all kinds of people at our church to tell their story of how when he came down, his wife borrowed $100 from somebody. I asked him if he paid it back. He said he did.
Oh, man. Well, looks like I wasn't on the ads-free YouTube account. Sorry about that. But you got the point. There we love Sheldon and Annette Mickelson at our church. They are an amazing, amazing couple. And as you saw, Sheldon and his wife started with $100 when they moved down to West Palm Beach, Florida, there where they're at. And they took the seed that was in their hand and they started sowing that seed. They grew their business to about $100 million. It was a construction trash company where they would transport trash from construction sites. And Sheldon started doing it himself by trusting the Lord, by sowing seeds. At one point, they were giving 50% of their income. That's how he saw the reward. He reaped that reward. He saw the harvest. He even says, I love what Sheldon says. He says, when you trust God with the seed in your hand, he'll trust you with the harvest. And Pastor David Crank there, my pastor, the one you saw in the video there with Sheldon, he actually wrote a book too called Solving Your Money Problems. Highly recommend that you grab that one as well as the book Beneath the Rubble. Free book from Sheldon. You can get it on Amazon, but if you try to scan that QR code, you'll be able to fill out a form and you can get the book for free. Just have to pay for shipping. I also want to plug Pastor David because he never plugs himself. He never plugs this book, but Solving Your Money Problems is a great book. It's a short book to read, and everything that Dave Ramsey teaches, all those folks who really help you steward your finances well, it's in that book as well. Pastor David has his own personal story from his father, where his father was faithful, sowing $1 a day, every single day into a ministry. And through that is how Pastor David has been able to reap those rewards from his dad's faithfulness and his stewardship. And he instilled that in him. And he's also been a good steward himself. And now he teaches his congregations to be a good steward. So if you're starting a business or you're building something new, like I am right here with this podcast, don't just chase the profit. You want to pursue purpose. You want to build your business. You want to build your platform, whatever it is. You want to build it as an altar to God, something that can use to glorify him and point to him. You don't want to use it as an idol. God will bless it. I promise you that. He'll bless it not just enough but he'll bless it beyond what you can even think or imagine. All right, that's the end of our segment on the faith-based entrepreneurship. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be right back after this message. Stay tuned. You got aches, pains, or just feel a little out of alignment lately? Well, St. Clair, things are looking up for you because Divine Spine Chiropractic has officially opened their doors right here in town at 70 North Main Street. Dr. Bella is now seeing patients in the brand new office, offering gentle, modern chiropractic care that's focused on healing your whole body. Without the snap, crackle, and pop methodology, she subscribes to something called the zone technique. So whether you're dealing with back pain, neck tension, headaches, or you just want to feel your best, Divine Spine Chiropractic is here to help you move and live better. So stop living with discomfort. Book your appointment now with Divine Spine Chiropractic today and give your spine the attention it deserves. That's Dr. Bella at Divine Spine Chiropractic, now open at 70 North Main Street in St. Clair, Missouri. Go ahead and book an appointment now. Your back will thank you. Divine Spine Chiropractic, where healing begins with alignment. Right, welcome back to Straight Talk with Isaiah Ascher. Let's go ahead and bring it on home to a local story here. We're going to go into our segment, Straight from St. Clair. This week in Straight from St. Clair, just want to highlight something that my family and I did this past week is we were out at an event called the Trick or Treat Trail. That is a tongue twister. Trick or Treat Trail event at the Franklin County Family Resource Center. I'm going to jump over to X here, highlight a post that I made so you can see. This is where my wife, Dr. Bella, by the way, I'm married to a doctor. She's extremely intelligent. Dr. Bella and I and our little beautiful baby Ivy met a ton of families. We talked health. We talked a little bit of politics. And this is how you can show up for your community. We handed out candy. We just encouraged folks, connected with folks as well. And when you're out here connecting with the community like this, you kind of realize that people aren't as divided as social media and specifically the traditional media makes it look. They simply want leaders who are going to listen, who listen to them, and who take real action. I actually had a great conversation with some folks while we were there from the Missouri Office of Workforce Development. And we talked about a jobs fair that's coming up. And I was able to promote it for them, record a video, promote on social media for them, and push to the community here that there was a jobs fair happening. It happened this past Monday. That was in Washington, Missouri. That jobs fair, pushing it, it reminded me of the manufacturing summit that I was invited to earlier this year as well. Because part of my campaign is trying to connect all these resources that are available for citizens to help them find a better job or to skill up so that they can get paid more at their current job. So I went to this manufacturing summit that I was invited to by the college, the local college here in Union, Missouri, East Central College. And they are trying to connect real people there with real training programs. They have free training programs, paid training programs, free apprenticeship programs, a pre-apprenticeship program even, and they can also connect you with job opportunities. They can't place you in a job, but they have great relationships with manufacturers and others in the industry where they can help you get interviews, help you meet those folks at job fairs that they host. And that's one of the things that I'm running on for my campaign. And that's where I believe real growth happens, is by growing the community, helping the citizens. Because if we can help the citizens grow, then that will help our economy grow, which means more tax revenue for the government. And it's better to get money through sales tax, personally, I believe, because the people are making more money and they're able to spend more money than trying to just make more money through tax levies and property taxes. I think property taxes are a scam and we need to get rid of them. Believe if you have better people, then you have a better city. That's my campaign speech for you. Let's go ahead, jump into our next segment here. Ending the St. Clair segment, we're going to jump into the Freedom Front. With the Freedom Front, this is where we take a look at the fight of liberty, culture, and common sense in America. But before we hop into that last segment, let's hear a word from our last sponsor. We'll be right back after this.
Do you have a tight circle of friends and family members? You know, the real ones, the kind of people who have been there since day one? Well, that's what Day One's gear is all about. It's more than just clean gear. It's a way to rep the ones who have had your back from the start. The ride or dies. The people who have never switched up. Day One's is for the loyal ones, built with premium materials, bold graphics, and that no-quit mindset. So if you're about loyalty, legacy, and showing love to your Day Ones, head on over to dayones.shop. That's day1z.shop. Day, the number one, z.shop. Go support them for supporting us. Day Ones.
All right, America, welcome back. It is time for the Freedom Front. Again, this is where we take a look at the fight for liberty, culture, and common sense in America. And of course, we're going to kick it off with the No Kings rally, aka the Hate America rallies. They claim to be anti-monarchy, but in reality, they've turned into an anti-America group, an anti-freedom mob. These people, they can't wave flags of hate. These vile left-wing lunatics, they can't do that and pretend that they're fighting for justice. You know, just to make a little light of the situation, I'll jump over here to check out Tim Burchett's post. Love what he did here with the Burger King post. Let's take a look at this together.
Imagine Democrat Party calling about no kings. They literally elected their candidate for president, Kamala Harris, with no election. Imagine that. Pure irony of it all. Like I said right there, we're going to eat like Raleigh. You rule America. We don't have a king in this country.
Yeah, he said, we got a president who's doing a pretty darn good job. I don't think you could hear the audio there. I think I'm having some technical difficulties. But I love that. So funny. And just a way to make light of the situation, too, right? Is the Burger King hat, the whole setup there in front of Burger King. I loved it. And I'm just loving Tim Burchett more and more every single day. And I thought I would just share that to give you a laugh, because there's a lot that happened during these protests and this Hate America rally that was glorifying violence. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of political violence this past year. The threats have still gotten darker, unfortunately. You know, we saw 8647 all over these Hate America rallies, which is code for assassinating President Trump. We saw it plastered on signs. We saw Stephen Miller receive death threats even. And of course, the mainstream media, they're silent. Complete silence. They highlight how big these Hate America rallies are, but they don't highlight the violence that took place and the violent rhetoric that was taking place at these Hate America rallies. They were completely silent. And if the roles were reversed, if we were the ones calling for the death of politicians, it would dominate every news cycle. Believe that. There is no doubt that they'd be ripping us apart. Let's just take a look here on X at some of the things, these vile things that we saw this past weekend at this Hate America rally. First, pulling up one of the most popular, let's make her famous, or infamous, I guess, right? Lucy Martinez, disgusting, disgusting woman. I wrote, the woman gleefully mocking and defending Charlie Kirk's assassination. Disgusting. Turns out she's reportedly a Chicago public school teacher. Surprise you? Didn't surprise me. If that's accurate, she needs to be gone yesterday. Haven't heard, maybe I missed something in the news, but I haven't heard that she's been let go yet. Just a political response from the school that didn't condemn her. No way someone this twisted should be anywhere near our kids. We need to demand accountability. Please demand accountability. Please write to Nathan Hawk Hale Elementary School, I believe it is. Write to the principal. Let them know about this disgusting, vile person and how we do not want them in the public school system. Here is another person with a sign there, you see. Would you like to kill Nazis with me? I wrote, holy hypocrisy explosion. Peaceful Seattle snowflake here, this soy boy, he vows to kill Trump's chief of staff, like I mentioned, Stephen Miller. He wants to kill him on sight. He slaps a Nazi sticker on everyone he disagrees with. The left's mask slips in shocking Seattle streets. And it sure did. This is horrendous rhetoric that we're seeing from the lunatic lefts. They hate us. Hate is a strong word. The Bible says that hate is murder. That's why you're seeing the culmination of this hate become violent, because that's exactly what happens when you brew hatred inside. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, is what Scripture says. Not only does the mouth speak, but unfortunately, sometimes these lunatics take action and they do what they're saying. That's why we need to believe this rhetoric, this violent rhetoric that they're putting out. We've already seen it. We've seen President Trump get shot, Charlie Kirk assassinated. This is terrible hatred that we're seeing. Do I have another post here? Yep. Look at this. Wanted better snipers. Can you believe that? It's ridiculous. Calling for the murder of our own president. It's unreal. Look at this. Peaceful? Does that look peaceful to you? This is in Illinois. This isn't Seattle. This isn't Portland. This isn't San Francisco. This is Illinois, which is also a left-wing lunatic state, but haven't seen too many violent mobs like this. You see the police needing to force them back. It's terrible. This is a violent mob outside of the ICE facility in Portland, as we've seen. The great Nick Sorter on the ground there. A great patriot reporting on the ground. These DHS warriors, they have to unleash tear gas, munitions. Praise God that President Trump was able to send in the full force of these ICE heroes. It's just violence, chaos that's ensuing. All right, that's enough of that hate. Let's lighten up with some laughs here. I'm going to pull up this viral meme that we've seen that we can all laugh at, hopefully. I think you've all seen it. The AI video that President Trump and his team put together. Let's watch this and have a laugh. Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hey, that's a little crude, Isaiah. That's a little crude. especially coming from the president. Hey, I understand it's crude, but it's just satire, all right? It's a joke. This satire is exposing the hypocrisy. Trolling is fine. It's okay to troll. Hate isn't fine. President Trump doesn't hate these people. He's just trolling them. He's making fun of them. Humor is one of these last defenses of free speech. It's one of the last places you can actually speak freely is being humorous. And if you can't laugh at yourself, then you can't really think. Because these AI videos, I posted about this earlier this week on X, is that these AI videos are now the new political cartoons. So the Dems need to either jump on board, figure out how to use AI themselves, or they need to stop whining about it. Then you need to do one or the other. Stop crying, Dems. Figure it out yourself. All right, let's pivot over to San Francisco. The left-wing lunatics there, because President Trump deployed the National Guard in San Francisco. Federal lawyers were trying to block him from sending in. You know, Gavin Newsom was not wanting to see this. You know, the mayor of San Francisco wasn't to see this, but surprise, surprise. The federal court greenlights the National Guard's deployment to Portland. Thank God. The streets are going to get cleaned up in San Francisco finally. And I'll tell you, this one kind of hits home because I lived and worked in San Francisco between 2015 and 2016. And it was bad even back then. That's, oh my gosh, that's 10 years ago. This makes me feel old. Even then, I saw needles in the parks, right where families were trying to hang out and play with their children. One of my coworkers was even robbed at gunpoint. That was blocks away from our office in an area that, if you saw this area, you wouldn't think that is an area where someone would be held up at gunpoint. But the city's just littered with violence, with homeless. I watched before my own eyes this city with so much potential, a city that I looked up to as a business person wanting to grow and start a software company. But now it's become, this potential has become a playground for chaos. Even other liberal cities, for example, when I visited Seattle, I visited it many times for work trips when I worked in the software industry. It's not better. It might even be worse because there's tent cities that fill entire parks there. I used to walk from a hotel down the street to an office that I worked out there in with the headquarters for an organization that I worked for. And I'd pass by these rows and rows of tents. People strung out on drugs, nobody doing anything about it. And you just had to walk by and basically ignore it, right? Just pretend that it's not there. And that's why I'm glad that Trump is stepping up. He's stepping in. He's deploying the National Guard to San Francisco, to Portland, to Chicago, all these areas that need true help. So glad that President Trump's leadership is showing out here. He's looking real good by doing this. He's trying to protect American citizens. He's trying to protect our lives. That's all he's trying to do. He's trying to stop the violence, the murders, and get these illegal immigrants out of here, these violent, illegal criminals. You know, compassion, people say, have compassion, be compassionate about these people. Hey, compassion without accountability is not compassion. That is societal decay. So cleaning up these cities, it's just about restoring freedom. Freedom to be able to walk safely, not be held up at gunpoint like my former coworker and friend. Freedom to live in a clean city. And freedom to raise your freedom to raise your family without fear. That's all I want. That's why I live in a small town. I'm able to raise my family without fear. And even in my small town, we have homeless people. We have things that I'm trying to fix, get cleaned up here. All right, it's enough of that negativity and about the hate of the left-wing lunatics, and enough about the National Guard getting deployed. Let's take a look and scroll through our faithful front, the faithful few, as I like to call them, and take a look on X here at some of our patriots and everyday Americans who are speaking the truth on X. First post I want to pull up here is Scott Presler. If you guys are familiar with Scott Presler, he leads a organization that is, I am blanking, Early Vote Action, I believe is the name. Let me pull this up here. This is live, we're doing this. Pull up Scott Presler. Yes, Early Vote Action. Sorry, Scott, that I can't remember that every time off the top of my head. But go ahead and give him a follow if you don't. He's continuing to crush it on the ground, organizing voters. He's driving voter registration, getting people educated on the opportunities that there are. You can see here, he just had a major donor donate to him in New Jersey. I wanted to highlight this because if you're in New Jersey, he is hiring right now for a 14-day campaigning trip with no days off. Going to be knocking on doors, chasing votes. Go ahead, give Scott Presler a follow, support him, comment, let him know how good of a job he's doing, quote post him, do all the things to support this great patriot, this great American hero who's out on the ground. There's even a post here on his timeline, if I can find it here fast enough, where he's actually out every day, rain or shine. Doesn't matter to him. He's going to be out there knocking on doors. Here it is. Scott Presler walking in the rain.
In a rainstorm, knocking on doors for you, working for you every single day. Man, we would love some more help. This election on Tuesday, November 4th is so important. I wouldn't be out here getting soaked for you unless I cared. Help us. EarlyVoteAction.com. Tuesday, November 4th, New Jersey, Virginia, Pennsylvania. Come on, my friends. I need your help. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, so just wanted to highlight the great Scott Presler because he is doing God's work on the ground there, organizing the community, getting folks knocking on doors, promoting activism, and proving also that activism can be positive and optimistic. It doesn't have to be negative. He's such an optimistic, uplifting person. I love hearing from Scott, and I love watching what he does. Now, shifting gears, not such a great patriot, but just something interesting that our patriots we're talking about is Jack Dorsey endorsing a Republican candidate for president. This is Representative Thomas Massey. He's a U.S. House of Representative for Kentucky, you can see. Interesting because this is a huge shift from Jack, who supported the left for so long, and now he's supporting going to the right. And we've seen many folks who have supported the left start to become more independent or move to the right because of the left-wing lunacy that's happening. And yes, even Jack Dorsey, the original Twitter founder, endorsed this Republican candidate. I mean, this isn't just a shift. This is a shock wave for the American people. Next, we're going to pull up the great American patriot, the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, pulling up this post here of him celebrating the 250th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. So we can take a look here. Just want you to watch because this is what a future president looks like. So listen in.
Kicking ass, keep taking names. Semper Fidelis Marines, happy 250th birthday. God bless you.
Listen to that roar. The creed is so needed. Look at that. All right, probably need to stop that so we don't get flagged by YouTube. But that is the future president, in my opinion, J.D. Vance, 2028, celebrating the 250th birthday of the United States Marine Corps, reminding us that freedom is not free. Freedom comes with a price. There is a price to pay, as we saw with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and we see as our American soldiers fight for our freedom every day on foreign soils and even domestic soil now, fighting these left-wing lunatics. For some Missouri highlights, a big thing that happened this week was the swearing in of our new first female, huge accomplishment, Attorney General. So let's move closer to home here. Jump over to this X post that I quoted from the new Attorney General, Catherine Hanaway. Congratulations to Missouri's first female Attorney General, Catherine Hanaway, sworn in today as the state's 45th Attorney General. She is taking place of the previous Attorney General, Andrew Bailey, who is now I believe, the Assistant Deputy Director of the FBI. I could be completely wrong in that, just trying to remember that off the top of my head. But he is now part of the FBI administration for the Trump administration, and he was resigned from the AG position. And now our great governor, Mike Kehoe, has appointed Catherine Hanaway as the new Attorney General. You see a great showing out here to support her from all other political candidates and those who hold political office. So just want to say congratulations to our new Attorney General, Catherine Hanaway. Very excited for the law and order that you will continue to bring to the people of Missouri. Huge win for the state. Huge win for conservatism. And these are the reminders that faith, freedom, and patriotism aren't dead. They're alive and they're trending. Folks like this are still stepping up. We're not losing ground. We're gaining ground, actually. Folks like Scott Pressler, folks like Attorney General Catherine Hanaway are stepping into positions and promoting people in positions to make sure that conservative values are at the forefront. Well, wrapping up today's episode 2 here of the Straight Talk podcast with Isaiah Ascher. I am your host, Isaiah Ascher, and if today's episode spoke to you, please be sure to share it with a friend, share it with a family member, share it on your own social media. Clip this. Make your own clips out of my video. I would highly encourage you. Tag me on X when you post those clips, or tag me on X with posts that you want me to engage with or highlight on the show. You can find me on X at Isaiah Ascher, ISAIAHASCHER. And be sure to join my community on X, the Faithful Front community. I'll put the link in the description because I will start doing some live spaces there where we'll talk throughout the week, answering questions, having dialogue. And that's how you can also stay part of the movement all week long as I'm posting on X. If you join the community, you'll see the posts that I haven't highlighted here today that still talk about things going on across the country, in our state, and in our local community. I want to take a minute to thank our sponsors as well, Fuegos Amigos Salsa, Divine Spine Chiropractic, and Day One's Apparel for supporting the vision from day one. Until next time, keep the faith, stay grounded, and walk in freedom. See ya next week.
You wanna impeach him? I guess that's what you do.